everyone, welcome back to Painting with Martin. I'm back with another Warlord Games series, and this is we're taking a look at Konflikt 47. Konflikt 47 is of course published by Warlord Games. I was given these figures at Essin Spiel last year, so thank you very much to Warlord Games for allowing me to show you guys an opportunity how to paint these guys. Now, Konflikt 47 is a miniature war game set in the past but also the future. Imagine World War II not ending in 1945 with the Germans being defeated, but instead the war continued, and instead of like having the political element to it, fantasy element and dark magic were added to the mix, adding zombies and mech walkers and all kinds of things. So today we could take a look at the German faction, and I'm going to show you how to paint these Stahltruppen. These are the basic infantry units that you assemble, and see my assembly video for this one, how to assemble your Stahlhelm troops as well. This is what it looks like when it's completely finished, and I've also pre-painted a few of them to make sure the video here will be quite smooth. So I've also taken the opportunity to prime this miniature using a spray can primer from Citadel. And this one I'm using Mechanicus Standard Grey, which is the paint here, but they also have this one as a spray can primer. So this is what it looks like when it's completely spray can primed and everything. If you have a brush on primer, you can of course use that as well. So with that said, I'm going to use this. I don't have a miniature here to show you exactly what they look like. I don't think I do. But you do have something like this. I'm not sure you can see it. It says, it looks like here, Axis Stahltruppen Platoon Commander. And you can paint it very similar to this one if you want to, but you can also follow whatever you want. So I'm going to show you kind of what I'm aiming for here. It's kind of like the dark German grey look. So the first thing I'm going to do is take quite an innovative approach to this one. And what I will do is, first, I will do a dry brush over most of the miniature except for the boots, the gun parts, knife, helmet, and parts of the belt here, if I can try to get it. So what I will do is then I will use something called Fenrisian Grey, which is kind of like a light grey with a bluish tone to it, from Citadel Colors range. And I'm going to use my trusty dry brush for this. In this case, I'm using a dry brush, and it's kind of like this one. If you don't have a dry brush like this one, you can use any old brush like this. And for example, I have an old brush, looks like this. You can use it, just don't use a new brush for this because it's going to ruin the brush. And you take an old piece of kitchen towel here and you wipe most of the paint off until you're left with very little paint on the brush. And depending if you want a light or a heavy dry brush, you can include more paint. And you simply go over it like this in a stiffling motion like this. And if you do touch the part that you're not supposed to, don't worry about it. We can always paint it over later on. And this means I still leave some of the original Mechanicus Standard Grey primer underneath, showing in the recesses. And this is just to give it a slightly different tone. Like this almost. Don't forget the undersides. If you don't get everything, it's perfectly fine as well. I'm mostly here looking for the edges, but try to get an overall nice color over it, like this. Okay. Now when this one's done, it's looking fairly okay already, looking like this. Now you leave this one aside, and now it's time to paint the boots and the helmet. Now, when you assemble the figure, you can assemble it with different kind of weaponry and like machinery and armor. Now, the helmet and the head part here, I've chosen this one here for a more classic German look with the Stahlhelm here, as per the Stahlhelm troops, and as well as not the face not really showing, but you have other troops here showing the full face, which can add you nice facial features as well. So for the boots, I've chosen to use a color from Vallejo called German Grey. And I should get a bit off camera and apply it neat to hopefully, yeah, there you go. Get something out of this paint pot. And this one, it's time to cover the boots. As such. Now you can choose to cover the back of the boots if you want to. I do cover the underside here of the boot as well, just to make sure it gets a nice color. If you don't want that, perfectly fine, you can leave it as it is and just use the regular primer showing underneath. I'm choosing here to cover the entire backside here as well, but if you feel you just want to leave it with the what we did with the dry brush, that's fine too. Something similar like this. Now it's time for the helmet. Here, try not to get anything in the face or the rest of the armor here. Looking like this. I also want to take the opportunity here to also paint the gauntlets, the gloves here, with this one. As such. Let's see here, this one here is a little bit tricky to get to. He's holding the machine gun here, but you can use this one also to cover parts of the machine gun in this color if you want to. I'm using this one because it gives a nice dark color before we apply the metallics. And here I'm letting the paint be quite thin, so it's nice to dry. I'm also using it for the knife here, and I'll show you why in an instance. So if you look at this like this, then you can, if you want to also apply this one for the kind of like gas tank here, because it's a jetpack. Just a small tint to it. It will be a lot easier when you apply the metallics afterwards. And you can also, if you want to, apply this one on parts of the jetpack up here. Okay, as such. And if you see that you forgot anything, now is a good time to actually make up for those mistakes and correct yourself as such. Now, time to clean the brush. Always make sure you clean the brush with a fresh pot of water, especially when you use metallics, so you don't make any mistakes there. Now, as this one is drying, I want to show you what it looks like. Oh yeah, we'll apply the metallic straight one, and what we'll do here, we'll take a metallic paint. You can use Leadbelcher for this one, that's perfectly alright. Leadbelcher is a good choice, or you can use any metallics of your choice, such as like natural steel, or even potentially, if you want a more silvery one, you can do like Chainmail silver from Vallejo. So here, if I, since I'm quite a disorganized person, as you have probably seen from my other videos, you can see that it's hard for me to see where my colors are. So here I found one color here called Natural Steel from Vallejo. You can use, as I said, any other color you want that is like good for this purpose. And here, Natural Steel is a good choice. And if you want more a shiny one, I'll show you the difference here. This is Chainmail Silver. Now, Chainmail Silver is going to be more of a shiny part. Oh, it dropped. So, here I'm mixing the two because I found that Natural Steel was a little bit too dark and grey. And here I'm just dry brushing it slightly over the machine gun parts. And this is a heavy dry brush. Also using this one across the steel canister over here on the back and parts of the jetpack as well. Now I'm going to show you in an instance, don't forget the ammunition up here as well. For this, I think it's an MG34. You can correct me if you like. Could also be an MG17. I like World War II machinery and weaponry, so let me know. Leaving this one aside for a moment, and there you see what it looks like when it's completely dried with another figure here. Now, on this one here, it's a heavy machine gun option, another option that you can put together with. You can also add things like knives and grenades and stuff like that in the back. I had a knife here for this one. I did it with the same color as before, and you can see the exact color choice here as well. This is what it looks like. Now, I'm going to show this one here has a face, like an actual face you can see. And now, since it's spray can Mechanicus standard grey, I recommend that you actually cover it in white before you apply any other facial color. And especially if you, like me, are you going to use contrast Darkoath flesh, which is a contrast paint for skin. Now, I'm going to show you what it looks like when you apply the skin color. And here, of course, it's quite important to make sure you cover all the white parts. Now it's looking quite okay already. Now with this one, you can paint the hair any color you want, black, green, anything you like. I prefer the standard brown or even yellow part, like blonde. And I'll see here if I can get my new paint pot and show you what these paint pots look like as well. Remember I said Citadel color was the old part? They changed the name, and they're now called Warhammer color. And I will refer to them interchangeably between both Warhammer and Citadel. I mean, they still have the Citadel range, so it's going to be out in the stores for a while. But Warhammer color is the new name, and I'll try to refer to this ones in the meantime as much as possible. I'm going to give this one a blonde hair color. The color here I'm using is Uriel yellow. And if you want to the dark grey not shining between, you can also cover the hair in white as well. So as such, looks like this. Leaving this one aside for a moment. Now, for the shades, which we're going to do in the next step in this one, you can, in this case, use a variety of shades. I strongly recommend that you use a combination of Nuln oil as well as Darkoath nightshade, because the figures themselves are quite bluish, and for the armor that I used and the colors I used, you can also, if you use Armor Painter, you can use the Quick Shade Strong Tone as well, which I have over here as a huge jar, looking like this. But this one takes a long time to dry, because it takes about 24 to 48 hours to harden completely. And I don't have 48 hours here. I'm not going to have my camcorder on for 48 hours. But I do have the option to just show you that this is an option for you if you use those colors. So here I'm going to use Nuln oil. I'm going to take out the Nuln oil paint pot. And I also shake the color quite vigorously before I use it, simply because all the pigments are left in there. So here I'm using a regular one here from, my regular, like, bought in thrift store pretty much, my wells here. And then here I'm using 4 parts Nuln oil and 1 part Darkoath nightshade. And I mix the two. I mix them neat. If you want not so much of a darker tone, you can mix them up with a little bit of medium or water. And here I'm going to apply it across the entire figure, and I want it to really go deep into the recesses here, as such. I also want to make sure that I don't cover the face with this one under any circumstances. cover the weapon. Weapon will be given a kind of like a light metallic shine from this one, from the blue, a blue metallic shine from this one, because I used the Darkoath Nightshade. And here I'm using it across the miniature here as such. Also the boots, letting it really like go into the recesses, but I don't want to pull on the surfaces. So such as here, I move it around and making sure that it doesn't go there, because it doesn't need to be on the flat surfaces. It needs to go in the recesses where it was hard to reach with the paint as well. So for a figure like this, those 4 drops of paint that I used will be used quite quickly after this. You will see fairly quickly that it's starting to take form as well. And the final figure I will show you, I've already applied the tones, and more importantly, I have also applied a camouflage pattern, which I will show you on this one exactly how to paint afterwards, as well as when I go through how to paint the details and the highlights. Now, this one is left aside. Now, you can see that there are bases here. You can choose to apply the bases after you painted everything, or as I did before when I assembled the miniatures. Now, these bases are round. It says Warlord Games underneath them, but if you have bases of your choice that are more scenic, you can of course use them as well. Just make sure that you have the exact same format in terms of sizes. This is what it looks like when it's completely dried, the shade, and you can see here it's pretty much the colors I've used before. Now, there are some differences, and I have applied a camouflage pattern here. I'm going to show you which colors I used. And this one here is fairly dark as well. If you want to lighten it up with some highlights, which we're going to do in the next stage, I will show you how to do so. Now, for the pattern here, I used very, very similarly. I used a color called black grey, and then I also used some Mournfang brown from Citadel. The other one from Vallejo, this from Citadel. And I used them here, pretty much put one and move them in jagged angle lines across the entire miniature to get some kind of camouflage on it. If you don't want to use, and you want to use the regular standard no camouflage, absolutely you can do so. Now, for the highlights in this one, I'm going to apply some Fenrisian grey that we used from the beginning. You can use rust grey as well. And here it's important to use a very, very like a dry and clean brush. And here I'm going to paint what we call edge highlighting. And here I'm looking at the top edges here that I want a little bit lighter. I want just the edges here. I'm using the flat of the brush for this. And as you can see here I included a Panzerfaust armor-piercing rocket that was used in World War II as well. So not everything here is just pure fantasy as well. As many of the weaponry and the armor here is actually from real life as well. So here I'm using it a little bit on the angle jagged lines. As such, using the flat tip of the brush here, make sure I get nice and even coverage, and providing some details, usually overshadowed by the shade and also a little bit of the camouflage here. So like this. Here, and it's starting to look fairly okay here in my opinion. If you manage to paint over some of the camouflage items, no problem. It's not a problem here. Now you're probably wondering, what about the face? And this is what we're going to attack next. For the face, which is kind of an interesting look, first of all I'm going to apply a little bit of white just for the eyes. And applied a bit of white before, and you don't need much. Here I'm taking off my glasses, and I'm going to show you it needs just a tiny spot here for the eyes. You can use an old toothpick for this one if you want to as well. And you can go back to the original figure here, and I'll show you here there are 2 spots for the eyes. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. As such, like this. And then for the rest of the face, putting back my glasses again, and then I'm going to use some metallic color like I used before, some chainmail silver, very lightly, for the areas around it. And also using this one for the radio antenna. I'm leaving the helmet as it is. Here I can also pick out the raised details of some of the machine gun, as well as the dots here on the gauntlets, and also anything here that you want more metallic here as a shine, like this. These ones, and you can go completely crazy with this one if you want to. Depends what you want. Now, there are a few details before. Now, as I leave this one to dry, as you can see also here, I accidentally touched it here on the helmet, which is fine. Usually this one is battle damage. Nice. As easy as that. You can think of this as a mistake, no problem. It's just, to me, it's just battle damage. But it's time for use some Doom Bull Brown from Citadel or Warlord, Warhammer range. It's a layer paint, and this one here I'm very, very simply using to cover the strap of the belt here, as well as also the belt here behind it, which I believe is a leather belt. Of course, this is entirely optional. You don't have to if you don't want to. There's another strap here as well. And you can cover it German grey if you want to as well. Now for the other paints, the other ones, this one entirely dry yet, you can use this one here, as such. And there's another strap over here. This one is a little bit easier to paint because I didn't attach any optional weapons. And you can use these ones here, as such. Like this. Okay. Let's go back to the facial details here. In this one I'm going to use a special effects color from Warpaint Fanatic called Data System Glow. Give it a good shake, and it's quite thin. And then I'm going to apply it over the eyes here as kind of like lenses for the night vision. Just a tiny dot is normally enough. That's one, like this. It's hard to see in the video. Here, I'll try to apply it here for the other one. a little bit too much. It's very fluid color, so you might want to soak it up. You can use a blue color if you want. Just a kind of tint. And that's it. For this one here, because he also has it, I want to show you a different option. And this one you can use a blue color. And this kind of time I'm going to use some, oh yeah, I think I'll use this one. This one is called Templeguard Blue from Citadel, Warhammer range. This one is for the lens here. It actually looks quite nice. And I might actually do this one here because it didn't turn out as nice as I wanted. As such, like this. Now, the base plate, you can use it you can use a basing material of your choice. I have basing videos for that. Please check my range of other videos if you want to have a look at that. Now, for the boots, a final optional highlight is to use a color called Eshin Grey from Warhammer color. And this is a slightly optional color. I'm going to use it only here as the kind of like the edges. To give a slight tint of normal. And I can also use this one for the Panzerfaust's warhead up here. As such. And if you want to paint over the battle damage, you can use that here. You can also use it for the Warhammer, no sorry, not Warhammer, for the Panzerfaust's ammunition up here, which I included as an optional extra because I included Panzerfaust. I want to show you as much as possible for these figures. And there you have it. This is Konflikt 47, a tutorial for you to how to paint your Stahltruppen Axis troops. And this is what it looks like when it's finished. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, I will also be painting the American one, and I'll show you also how to assemble them. When you assemble them, they look like, I'll show you the sprue, and they look like this. Like exactly like that. And also the Axis troops will come like that. Please see my video for tips on how to assemble the miniatures for the Stahltruppen troops. It will be up on the channel momentarily. And then I'll see you in the next video. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more like this. And thank you very much for watching. And also a big thank you to Warlord Games for giving me these miniatures. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.